Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we apologize for the delay in trying to get the earlier speaker, but we are back on track again. And security is what we're going to talk about now. So security is a key concern for any bank, and we know how important it is to you. So therefore, we have an expert from Blackberry Cylance to tell you how it can be done. Please welcome on screen Mr. Mohan Babu. Over to you, Mohan.
Thank you, Vin. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you are all safe and well. Firstly, I would like to thank you for your patience as well as giving me this opportunity to showcase how BlackBerry AI-powered security that works smarter, not harder. So I put a small agenda for today. I actually touch base on the security as well as business risk landscape, as well as some data I would like to share to put a context to this conversation. As well as I take you through the BlackBerry's journey and also how our AI-backed security model works and how we are trying to achieve our objective of one solution, which is actually addressing various endpoint-related security issues. Further to that, we have a discussion and Q&A. Please feel free to post your questions in the chat communication window. With that, I will start with my first slide. Everyone knows about the endpoint as well as the cybersecurity chaos around it. It is negatively impacting the organization, not only affecting the cyber resilience of an organization, it also impacting the business continuity as well as the business resilience. So over the years, we inherited so many endpoint security products, expecting a greater TCO as well as ROI. With the amount of threats and the sophistication of threats, with the frequency of the threats, it's always be a question mark. Have we achieved that ROI and TCO? I would say, most of my interaction with the customers, they say no. At the same time, security as well as productivity is always the opposite poles. Basically, whenever the security organization or the risk organization trying to put controls, always the user started complaining about it and so on and so forth. It impacts the user productivity. There is a survey conducted in US. Actually, they come out with an estimate of around $1,000 per year a loss due to security per user in one of the in the mid-size organizations in US, which means that is the productivity loss due to the updates, due to the patches, and so on and so forth. As well as security always delays the business outcomes as well as the initiatives. So moving on to my to the security threat and business risk landscape. There are so much of data in this slide. I would pick a few of them. One is basically last year we have seen almost 100 million pieces of new malware released, which means we are talking about 270,000 plus malwares per day, which transformed to 11,000 plus malware per hour. And all these malwares are net new. It's not the modified ones. So it begs to a question like, how are we going to deal with it? And most of the attacks happened on 2020. It's around the endpoint. 97% of the attacks are on endpoint. And again, we have other security challenges. So which actually takes me to other challenges related to this. Basically, the IT security professionals want to quit their job because of the stress and burnout. It is not only applied to the security administrator, it is all the way go to the CISOs of the organization. Basically, they don't want to stick to an organization not more than 26 months. It's based on a study conducted in the US. Because of the high stress and burnout. Also, there is a lot of disconnects between the management and the CISO organization in terms of cybersecurity prioritization and strategy. It is one of the survey conducted by Unisys in Australia. So these are the challenges. So what today is happening, basically we build defenses which actually having a lot of dependency on human beings, and also it works at the speed of human. So what BlackBerry is trying to do is basically provide a solution which actually works, which will give a lot of time back to the team, as well as it is actually learning from the past to predict and shape the future trends, and also stop all those future attacks and so on and so forth. Before that, get into more into the products, I would like to just give perspective about where we are today as BlackBerry. Most of you are aware of BlackBerry has started as a smartphone company. Today, over the years, actually, we are out of that smartphone business. We evolved as a software company, which has been used by the most security conscious organization in the world. So today, if you look at it, after our acquisition of Cylance back in 2019, we transformed as a unified endpoint security organization in 2020. And also in the meanwhile, there were several acquisitions happened back. So on the IoT space, as also on the UEM space, and so on and so forth. So BlackBerry is constantly evolving, and today we can say we offer a complete endpoint security stack for customers, which is actually powered by AI and machine learning. So we built a security endpoint security strategy based on the four things, which is basically we prepare customers for IT outages, ransomware outlooks, and business disruption before they happen. And also we prevent cyber attacks, insider misuse or threats, and data security risk effectively and efficiently. And we detect security breaches and suspicious behavior as fast as possible, because even the minutes matter in this case. So also we help customers with quickly respond through automation to protect the business and mitigate the risk. And all this built on our patent Cylance AI engine. And we built various capabilities around the endpoint, right from critical event planning all the way to the endpoint management. All are built on top of the Cylance AI platform. So we provide the endpoint protection for across laptops, servers, desktops, mobile devices, IoT devices, and so on and so forth, all the way to endpoint detection and response, as well as we provide the managed detection and response. If you look at it, the endpoint protection itself, we provide this capability through our AI-based ML model. This models actually addresses various challenges which customers are facing today. One is basically it's no longer a catch-up, which means we provide the AI models are built, and it is unsupervised model, so it is evolving over the time. It can stop 0 days, unknown unknowns, without even any IOCs or IOAs in the pre-execution phase itself. So we built a lot of capabilities around that. So we prevent against all those malwares, ransomwares, and virus worms, etc. As well as we actually protect organizations against the file and fileless attacks. Attacks are happening on the memory. We also stop the scripts, and we also protect organization against the potentially unwanted programs. You can have controls over applications and so on and so forth. Not only that, and that on the detection and response space, we actually help organization to do a lot of investigation analysis on the endpoint We also provide the set of capabilities to do the threat detection and hunting on the endpoints, as well as we introduced a capability called the ZTNA capability, which is basically zero trust network access, which is a product called Blackberry Gateway, which helps organization to provide secure connectivity from the endpoint to the on-prem or the SaaS application without a VPN. And to wrap it up, we have our BlackBerry's renowned endpoint management, which actually provides the endpoint management capabilities across mobile devices, laptops, and desktops. And underpinned by our security services, we have our the product professional services, as well as we have the security professional services. We provide all types of red teaming, blue team kind of engagements, as well as we are one of the leading compromise assessment providers in this region, as well as we provide the managed detection and response services. This is in a nutshell. And when it comes to the productivity and security, there is always a friction. Basically, the productivity in general will go down when there is when we apply more security controls in place. But our objective is to actually reduce that friction, improve the security posture of the endpoint, at the same time improve the productivity of the user as well. So how we are doing it, this is how our AI work. Basically, we have collected the collect phase. We have collected and analyzed several petabytes of good and bad files in order to characterize what a legitimate file structure is, as well as characterize the file structure which are used by malware writers. And then the extract process kicks in. During this process, we have extracted the common features and train our model to look at the relationship among the features. The model seeks to identify data patterns that cannot recognized by humans. We trained our models to discern between good and bad, which allows us to classify the malwares and the 0 days as a bad file, as well as, for example, conversely, if you we push a kind of patch software, the model able to analyze and group it as a good software instead of a bad software. So what we do as a next phase, as a transform phase, every unique feature we extracted, we are able to from the binary. What we do, we basically convert into an integer value. Basically, each integer value is added to a matrix. That matrix is processed by our neural network, which is expressed as an algorithm on the endpoint. Actually, whenever we say our software is running on the endpoint, which is not just the software, which is actually the machine learning model itself running on the endpoint. We are very unique. Today, we are the only vendor on the endpoint security side having this AI-backed ML model running on the edge itself. The beauty is basically when you are running on the endpoint, we analyze a file, we look at various features and derive a math score, which determines its level of trustworthiness of the file. Yeah. Then it will classify as a good or bad file. This is how our AI will classify the files, will classify the the software, and so on and so forth. I will just take you in the next slide how what are the attributes and features are. So when you look at this picture, these are basically the ears, eyes, the nozzle, as well as tongue. These are all the attributes. In machine learning language, these are called features or attributes. And this will be converted into a numeric value to make up the dimension for this sample. I will show you a dimensional analysis of these two animals. For example, when you look at it, it takes all these attributes of emu as well as this koala, and actually it does the numeric value attached to the each attribute, and then it actually put the numeric value in a vector format, and then it presents based on this vector format. It arrives a conclusion that this is an emu and this is a koala. And similarly, what we do, when we do this analysis, we actually create dimensions. That dimensions can be viewed as coordinates in space. Object with similar traits, we group it, okay, and basically we group those traits very close to each other, and the traits are farly different, we kept it far away from each other. So we actually classifies, then we reach the conclusion that these are the different types of animals which has some common features among all. So similarly, we apply the same principle to the programs, software programs, and we actually do a lot of analysis like code sequence, wavelets, like algorithm analysis, like disassembly graphs, header structures, etc., in order to reach whether it's a ransomware or it is a business application. And we run through a lot of things, and it's on the very high level, but we do the feature discoveries, we do the algorithms, we do the clusterings, and we basically, when we take a file, we analyze online up to 2.7 million features in a millisecond, versus analyzing a file in a sandboxing or against a signature, which takes some minutes, and so on and so forth. So we are very fast. Within a blink of an eye, these AI models are tuned in a way that they can analyze files and the features of this larger volume. Yeah, and this is how we do our analysis, and we actually predict and we prevent those attacks much earlier. And one of the analysts who have done a kind of a temporal analysis for us, basically, if you look at WannaCry, which is well known, when this happened, I was actually in Muscat. Actually, it happened on the weekend, and the beginning of the week I was in Muscat. Basically, this actually created a ruckus among all organization, especially the healthcare as well as the financial organization. Basically, we have tested it, how much of temporal predictive have we done for this WannaCry. If you look at it, we are actually 20 months earlier than the WannaCry was introduced. That means how we did it, we actually used the 2017 model. We run the WannaCry against it, we are able to stop it. Then we went back to the 2016 and we went back to the 2015 model. We are still able to stop WannaCry. This is not only WannaCry, you would have gone through some of this recently, like the dot site, the Conti. In this case, we are actually 67 months ahead of those attacks. This is actually one of the analysts called SE Labs who have done this temporal analysis for us. We are, over the past few years, we are ahead of the attacks, which actually were the headlines of the news. We were able to stop them in an average of, the 50 months, almost 50 months ahead of it. This is what I would like to, tell you. So what we have done, our main objective is to provide our customers one single agent, which actually comes with one single installer for both endpoint security as well as endpoint management. Currently, we have two different agents and two different installers. But moving forward, we are going to have one of them. Already, we have actually combined all the licenses. You can consume it as separate capabilities, as well as you can consume as one license, and under one solution, you can have a couple of agents and a couple of installers as for the time being. But moving forward, we will actually, our engineering team is working on to bring both capabilities with one agent and one installer across all the platform. At the same time, we are also going to provide one console, which is going to manage our endpoint security as well as endpoint management. The console can be on the cloud or on-prem. And also, we are actually having built one cloud, which is basically where you can have your console and for both endpoint management as well as security. And you don't need to deal with multiple teams. It's going to be the one team, which is actually backed up by this AI, backed up by our AI. Also, we actually working closely with various third-party vendors. We expose our APIs to them to integrate, and also we are integrating their APIs as well with our solution. So when it comes to security, it's not individual sports. It's a team sport. So we understood that. So we actually have built our ecosystem around our security offerings. So the ultimate objective of creating this to create an order to the chaos we are seeing today at the endpoint, we are helping our organizations to optimize the endpoint security and management, as well as we provide better security as well as user experience, as well as we provide faster identification and response to attacks, and also reduces the risk to an organization significantly. From the CISO as well as IT operational perspective, we are bringing greater efficiency to the organization. And also, customers are appreciating the fact they can start realizing the TCO as well as the ROI, because the software is very, very simple. It utilizes 1% of your CPU. At the same time, it doesn't require frequent updates, frequent signature updates, and so on and so forth. So from that perspective, we are saving significant amount of operational cost. We can give a solution which actually run online, offline, and also securing that endpoint always. This is on the security side. On the on the optimization perspective, we reduce the complexity, because you don't require multiple vendors for the same requirements. You can use BlackBerry to address all of these endpoint security requirements. As I mentioned earlier, we can provide a simplified administration through our cloud console. And in overall, we actually reducing the risk to a significant level. At the same time, we improving the user productivity. With that, I conclude my presentation. If you have any queries, please do let me know. I don't want to take more time. I don't want to stand between your lunch and the other presentation. So please do let me know if you have any question, queries or clarification, or you want any detailed session later on. Please do reach out to us. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohan. And with that, we conclude the presentations for the day. But please stay online, because the next session is also equally important. It is where we will discuss any questions that you may have from all the presenters. So yes, we shall go and take a small break and come back quickly with all the presenters on the screen, so you can raise your questions to them. Once again, you can raise it live on screen, or you can do it via text. But however you choose to do, we want you to open up and tell us what your challenges are. You have the experts here listening to you, and they've been standing by very patiently to listen to you. So you can have about 2 minutes to write down your questions, and we shall be back soon. Thank you, Mohan, and please stay online.
Yeah, thank you, Vin.